There we go.
Cool.
You know what's crazy though, Cray?
What's up?
It just got crazy because I got a message from somebody from Paris. I got you. I got Cut Chemist. I got another homeboy. I got Grandmaster Kaz. It's like everybody's just like shooting all these messages though, bro.
That's dope. Hella respect to those guys, man. They're putting in work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's going on, Cray? Somebody had asked me about TWS versus another crew.
TMF. Yeah, TMF.
Yeah.
They were like our rivals, our crosstown rivals. You know,
Yeah,
they made us better, and hopefully I think we made them better.
Yeah.
So it was just you know, bragging rights to see who was like the superior group. But there was another group that was also dope, was MPC, Masterpiece Creators.
Oh, okay.
They were also dope too. They did big productions. So to me, I mean, I was raised as like, you do your bombing, you get up with your tags, and then you do your throw ups, and you do your pieces, then you do your burners, then you do your characters, then you do the production. And that was the end game.
Oh, okay.
When I was growing up. And so when people were saying that, we looked up to people that was doing productions. You know, we weren't looking up to people that were bombing. We just thought that, okay, that's just part of the culture. You know, you do that when you don't have a lot of talent, but you still want to get up, and respect to them, but they don't even come close to us what we were doing.
Woo! That's amazing though, bro. So was TDK around too at the time?
TDK is dope too, yeah. TDK, that was KTD in Berkeley, TDK in Oakland. Dream was always dope, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I just remember I remember going up to the Bay Area, and I used to be a radio station that I would tune in, which was it was KSOL.
Remember KSOL, dude? KDIA.
Yep, and KPOO.
The Soul Station. There were Soul Stations.
Yeah, and KPOO. And
KPOO, yep. Sundays from 3 to 7.
Yeah, and I think there's another one called KZYU.
Yeah, that's the one that Kevin Kev was on, right? The longest run hip-hop station west of the Mississippi.
Yeah, though, and I remember as a kid, I used to tune in on KSOL, and I used to try to record, and I record those mixes that would come on. Yeah. And I had family that lived in Union City, so when I would go to Union City for the summer, I would tune in on KSOL, and I would get these mixes that were coming in off the radio station.
B-Boy, when you went to Union City?
Yeah.
Who was around back then? Was it Rock Force?
I didn't hear Rock Force though, like when I was coming up though. Just to be honest with you, I think maybe I was too young.
Different, groups of people hanging out in different areas.
Mm-hmm.
They were the ones they were the rulers of that particular, like East Bay, kind of like, Hayward and Union City. They were rocking over there,
Also, you remember First Generation Rock Force?
Yeah, a little bit, because I was one of the first B-boys in San Francisco before I got into graffiti. You know that, right?
No, I didn't know that. Tell me about it.
It was in the city, man. I was one of those wharf rats. So there was Massive City Breakers. There was another crew, but we couldn't get into those crews because we were like the ones that were like, they're all right, but they're not like we didn't have flares. We just had shuffles, footwork. So we were just hanging out down at the wharf, and I saw a bunch of crews come up. Like I think Sidewalk Breakers, Massive City. They came through. When I saw a B-boy, Kid Finesse, and he had those flares, and I was just like, "What the hell?" Because I was like into the backspin, and so I didn't really see a lot of the flares until then, and I was like, "Damn, those are our superstars, our local."
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So man, that is some early B-boy history. When did you really start getting into graph though? Like, was it like around 80, 83?
I got into B-boy for like 3 years, and then I started dabbling into like one of the breaking B-boy practices over at Japantown Bowling Alley. It was the third floor.
Oh, yeah.
And I talked to the owner, and I said, "Hey, man, you're not doing anything with this like meeting space, and it's got a like marble floor, and I was wondering if I can get like my crew here and to actually practice here." And they're like, "Sure." Kind of getting kids. He was like this old white dude. He was kind of thinking that he's going to get the kids out of trouble to actually dance up there. Well, anyway, there was like a curtain that showed into the second bowling alley, and everybody was looking at us and trying to see what we're doing. It was like back then, it was like new. This is 84,
Yeah.
Free, you know. So,
So there, I remember. So basically, yeah, that there was a lot of Filipinos and brothers breaking at the same time, huh?
Filipinos. There was one episode on Home Turf, one of the first b-boy episodes on Home Turf, and one of my boys had it, Sundance, who's now a graffiti writer, but he used to break too. He recorded one of the episodes on Home Turf, and the camera crew went up to Vallejo, and it interviewed like a group of b-boys up there, and everybody was Filipinos, rocking those baggy pants, and there was this one white dude. There's always that one white dude, right? But, you know, it was pretty cool. I was like, wow, you know, because they had the regular moves. I mean, they kind of wanted to look like dynamic rockers or sidewalk breakers. You know, they all kind of tend to look the same in a way. You know, like the dress code.
Mm-hmm.
But they had some flavor even for back then. I got to tell you a little bit something about like the early b-boy scene.
Yeah, tell me.
And including the early hip hop scene in general, but the b-boy scene and the graffiti scene, there was a lot of dope shit coming out of Daly City. I gotta admit, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not pro Daly City, but I've been going around taking photos. I went around trying to break against people, but I just noticed there was a lot more like just understanding of hip hop culture. Like maybe the skill level was a little bit higher than the one in San Francisco. Maybe. I knew I was getting around San Francisco. I just didn't see a lot of people having that kind of skill that was coming out of Daly City.
Okay.
So I think Mr. Spin, I found out later on, Mr. Spin from New York came out here.
Is that the curfew?
Yeah. Hey man, I gotta go home, man.
I think your phone froze up. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought they
think
grabbed
it's curfew.
you.
I think LA is 6 to 6. No, 6 to 6, and then here I think it's 8 to 5.
It's 5 here.
What do you mean? Where?
5 p.m.
Where? Oh, it's over there?
Yeah.
Okay, right now it's 4:30 right now on
I thought they grabbed you right now, bro.
No. But anyway, talking about
you're talking about the b-boy in Daly City.
yeah, no, man. Because I found out later on that b-boy Sop from Brooklyn, he came out here. He's the one that gave us the name TWS, Together with Style, because originally Together with Style was a b-boy crew in Brooklyn. And
okay.
Our crew name first was BAD, Burn and Destroy, and I was like thinking, if we get jobs from like corporations and shit, and our name is Burn and Destroy, do you think that might be kind of hindrance? You know, like we don't want to be acting like we're all hoodlums and shit. You know?
Yeah.
Do you think we can get a little professional name? And they said, yeah, how about Together with Style? And I'm like, ooh, Together with Style, that's dope. Yeah, that's it, Together with Style. And so that's the first generation Together with Style, and that was part of the early, I think, Renegade Rockers graffiti.
Ooh.
So Renegade Rockers had the b-boy group from Daly City, or San Francisco / San Francisco Daly City, had like a graffiti unit within.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So part of that crew, I think about 5 or 6 dudes got in with me and Styles. Styles was my first partner in graffiti. He's also my b-boy partner. So we got in together and got into graffiti together. So we were always sharing. Without Styles, I don't think I would have been the person who I am today, because we were always saying, so what can we do to get this to get better? Oh, well, first you got to make sure you don't have no drifts. You got to make sure you're just like that, you know. And I was bagging him, he was bagging me, so we were kind of like upping each other. You know what I mean? Just like the beat, like your shuffle's whack. You know, get your shuffling right. You know what I mean? That kind of shit. You always need a partner to tell you that, you know, your shit is whack. Otherwise, you're emperor with no clothes on. You know what I mean? You think you're dope, but you're whack. You know.
Hey, Craig, my boy Herms, he gave you a shout out. He's from Lords, the Lords crew.
Oh yeah, respect to Lords, man. Definitely, dude. There's ex-Lords, OG Lords, crazy. I mean, because of a lot of politics. I remember, Bazaar, he was getting in a lot of people, or other people were getting a lot of people, and it was kind of getting out of control. And I think I was talking to K2. He's one of the Lords members, and they wanted to kind of separate themselves from other Lords. So it got a lot of drama. I don't know the history of it, but it got into a lot of drama because there were hundreds and hundreds of Lords crew members all over, you know, all over the States, you know.
Yeah, I just remember when I think Poe got into the Lords around the 90s though, right?
Yeah, I mean, he was one of the first members, I hear, you know.
Oh,
Poe.
really?
Yeah, dude, he was there early. I
Oh,
remember San Jose. I was one of the first cats to go down to San Jose because you have to understand TWS was the first Bay Area crew. It was the first Bay Area graffiti crew because
I didn't know that.
like 17 years old. I had a car. You know, this is like when I first came on the scene, and I was going to San Jose. I was going to Oakland. I was going to Berkeley. I had all these numbers because through Jim Pergoff. Jim Pergoff befriended me, and I befriended him. And basically, he was telling me all these phone numbers to all these writers, and I was going out to go see them. So while I was going to see them, I checked out the yards. I'm like, oh shit, this yard is pretty dope. All right, so let me see. I was recruiting, like what Rocksteady was doing when, in the beginning. Like they were going to different boroughs and not only battling them, but they were also recruiting. So that's what because I knew the history of Rocksteady, and I figured, you know what, I'll do what Rocksteady was doing, but with graph. So I went to fucking San Jose, got Picasso. I was trying to get Nexus.
Oh, I remember Picasso.
Yeah, Nexus had a whole bunch of entourage around them that was talking the most shit, and that it kind of turned me off, you know. But he was doing some dope shit. Him and Aladdin and Picasso. There was some other writers, but I ended up with Picasso, and we hooked up, and he was a good dude. And so I was like, you know what, you're going to be my go-to contact person in San Jose. So when I went to East Bay, I hooked up with Raven, and I hooked up with a bunch of dudes from San Francisco. So we had a crew, and it was mostly, and they, you know, sometimes graffiti crews, they kind of happen within a neighborhood. Like TMF would tell you that, I'm not trying to speak for TMF, but they would tell you that it was a neighborhood thing, you know. They knew some guys in the neighborhood, and they sort a crew together. But for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to seek you out. I want to see if you're dope. And if you're dope, I want you to be in my crew. We can hash out the indifferences of personality conflicts or whatever. But you have to understand, man, there was a lot of egos in TWS, but we all got along because everybody can do characters, everybody can do letters, everybody can do backgrounds, do everything, which is the production. You know what I mean? So anyway, so when I went to San Jose, I knew all the yards because Picasso would tell me, yeah, these are the yards. Boom, 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 boom. So when I got TWS together, we went down to San Jose. We crushed the yards. Boom. You know, like over a couple of weeks. And then we came back, and then whatever. It's like, yo, let's hook up in Oakland. Boom, we hit Oakland. I mean, we hit different yards in Oakland. Several weeks later, we hit fucking Berkeley. We hit different yards in Berkeley. And then I live in San Francisco with a couple of dudes that I know. When they came to me, I knew all the yards. So I told them like where to go piece or where we piece together. Mostly it was illegals and legals. So we did both. So a lot of people get down on us because we're doing a lot of fucking legal walls, but we did a lot of illegal shit too. The thing about from the legal walls, we got all the cans, and then we got up with the cans. So still the cans, we got through gigs, and you know, so we would buy some, but and then I remember later on in the 90s, I started racking more, but you know, times were kind of rough in the 90s, you know? Yeah.
So Cray, when you was doing all this writing, though, who was you looking at to the East Coast for inspiration? Or were you even inspired by people?
It was I wouldn't say first generation of writers, but definitely, you know, it was that you know, that spray, that's what do you call that? The subway art, you know what I mean?
Subway art.
With this girl named Arlene, and she had this book called Subway Art, you know?
Yeah.
And I was b-boying at the time, and I was looking through the pictures. I'm like, holy shit, all we got to do is like reverse engineer it and see how it was made and created. And so those are the people that I got influenced by. I mean, there was a generation before and another generation before that, but I didn't really know them. So I just knew what I saw in the books and the videos, like what do you call that? Style Wars and Wild Style.
Yeah. And
then Weiss, when it starts getting into Crush Groove and then Beat Street, I was like, you know what I mean? It was kind of like Hollywoodized, glamorized. I like Style Wars and I like Wild Style, you know?
Okay.
With me, I don't know.
Yeah. For me, my first introduction to graffiti, like I seen graffiti, but it was Sudanio. It was block letters, like big C, V. Everything was blocks with 3D, like they're 3D and not the block letters though. And I would see this through the neighborhood, like, and they would have like Droopy, Little Man, Flaco, El Nino. Yeah. And the letters was huge. The letters were like 7 feet tall, big old C's.
I'll tell you something about that. A little history on Pingo. Pingo is like a friend of mine in the city. He's one of the early writers in the city. There was another writer who came from Baltimore, and his name is Q. He was taught by Dr. Revolt. So
okay.
Or to learn graphic design, and met up with this kid named Cuba, and taught Cuba everything he knows. And then Cuba went out to San Francisco. Cuba, Riff, Pengo, and there's a lot of early writers too. But I just want to say about the placas. Pengo was getting up those big placas, you know, those Mexican block, and he got into graffiti like when New York style graffiti came out here, when the hip hop scene came out here. He took it completely, you know, like completely got immersed in it. So he was one of the first writers to kind of venture out of his street, because, you know, they had each different street, like the 21st Street, 22nd Street. They all had little affiliations, but then once graffiti, the actual getting up, going all city came out, and he went all over the place. You know what I mean? He started meeting people from different parts of the city, started meeting up with me from like, you know, like from like Fillmore. You know, there's a project in the Fillmores, and before that I was living in the projects in North Beach. So
okay.
Basically.
A gentleman from Miami via Atlanta said, when did you first start getting up on the freight trains?
Oh shit, man, that was one of the, because, you know, like New York, it's a heavy influence on me, you know what I mean, obviously. And then there's freights. I mean, we have Muni Metro, but freights is the one I wanted to hit. So when I got into the yard down on 3rd Street, there's this big huge yard, man, and I got up with a couple of pieces, and then I just decided to just do a whole car, and I found a smooth, clean, and that's when I wanted to get up. So I didn't really tell anybody until I just wanted to do it. That was one of the things about like what Estria was saying about me, is like, I don't tell nothing about nobody. I do it, I crush it, and I have pictures and I show it to them. Look what I did, boom. You know what I mean? I love doing that. Yeah. So just everyone, I wanted to see their fucking faces, you know, like, damn, you did that. So I hit a couple of cars early, and then I went out today and I brought some San Jose riders, and they got influence on that car, and so they went to San Jose and they started bombing San Jose freight trains. But there's, you know, I consider myself, I did one of the first freight trains in the West Coast. I don't know if it's in the whole United States, because I'm not floating around like that. I was just in San Francisco. So when someone claims that like TDK claimed that they did some whole cars about the same time as me, but they don't have photos of it. You know, I got photos. I don't doubt that they got up. It's just I had photos of it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I'm not, because I'm not getting up on freights. I mean, I'm telling you that I'm not getting up on freights, but you never know.
I
gotta be legit. You know, I'm 53 years old, man. I gotta be legit. But you
know, great. Somebody threw a question. They said, break down.
What's up?
Somebody said, break down the new wave versus funk. Why is
okay? Well,
and why is it your favorite?
Basics of it. See, you have to understand, the people that was doing funk weren't b-boys. They weren't b-boys. They were rockers. They were other things, and then they got into graph, and then they knew that graffiti, the cool graffiti, was like from New York. Okay? B-boys, you're not supposed to bite. That's what you learn. You're not supposed to bite. So when graffiti came out here, you're not supposed to bite. So what can we do to make our shit fresh? So it was that b-boy mentality, trying to do graph and not try to bite. So you're trying to do artistic shit, but like, how can you do it where it still has flavor? It's still artistic. So what I'm trying to tell you is that there's a lot of people that got into the funk flavor because they didn't really come from, now maybe later on they did, but in the beginning, I know a lot of the original heads weren't b-boying. I was b-boying. And that's one of the things you're never supposed to do is bite. So, you know, like when you look up to New York and you take some styles from New York, it's dope. I just remember meeting up with Doug like 96, 97 when I was doing hiphop.com with Alex Aquino down in I was doing hip-hop down. I was one of the first graffiti writers to do an actual graffiti style type website and won many awards, you know, from 1995 to 2000. First cats to do web-based publishing and shit, you know, web design with straight style and shit. So he came by and we had some beers and shit, and he was like saying, Rigel, man, it's like I never wanted to take graffiti to the next level type of shit with all artistic flavor and all kind of Robotech and trying to get all crazy and trying to get all technical. Nah, I love graffiti from like, this is what I think I remember him saying, you know, don't quote me, but I think he said something like from 1982, 1981 to 1985, those are the epitome. Those are the dopest years in graph that you know, this is what Doug was saying, that I think was the best moment in graffiti in New York. And so I love that style in that time frame, and we like to just expand on it. And I was like, oh, I respect that. That's hella dope. You know, it's like, you know, you can create your own style from that particular genre of era. For me, I've always wanted to take graffiti to the next level. We come from left field. Completely left field, like, man, we're mixing colors that nobody mixed before because we're trying to find within our own crew members, like, yo, what are you doing? Oh, okay, let me see what you got. Oh, okay, let me try to build off of that. So so I have to also tell you, Doug was one of the guys that he was younger than me, like 2 or 3 years younger than me, but I looked up to him a lot because he was a cat that when I looked around and took pictures everywhere in San Francisco, he was the dopest writer. He was one of the dopest writers. So I looked up to him and I saw all of his pieces. And his pieces were clean. His pieces were colorful. His pieces had style. His characters was dope too. And it's like, damn, dude, it's like, what can he not do, right? But everybody else that was getting up around him, they were okay, you know, but it wasn't like Doug. So when Doug was still doing it, when Doug was still, when he was doing his pieces first, it was kind of chunky. And he cut into these chunky pieces. And so it wasn't funk. Early San Francisco style was like chunky and cut up. You know?
Oh, okay.
Put a lot of fillings in. You can put a lot of fillings because it was chunky. You can put a lot of fillings. It wasn't bar letters. I got to tell you, the reason why they went bar letters or New York style or funk letters because there was a guy named Orko from Chicago who originally in New York and hooked up with Case 2 and 3 and laced him with some funk styles from New York. Okay, even New York, I don't even think they even call it funk style. They just call it New York style. But out here in West San Francisco,
that term funk style.
Yeah, but it's New York styles. So Orko goes to Chicago. He comes to San Francisco and lives out here, and he calls me first before he hooks up with TMF because he knew Jim Pergoff. Jim Pergoff, who made the book called Spray Can Art, which I was in '88.
Oh, you still okay?
Gives my phone number to Orko. Orko calls me up and says, hey, I want to make a crew with you. And I'm like, what? I don't even know you, man. Where are you from? It's like, oh, I'm from Chicago. I'm living in San Francisco now, man. Woo, 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 woo. Let's do this, man. I'm like, wait a minute, dude. I already got my crew. I think you need to contact some so they're not my friends, but they're like my arch rivals. I think you need to talk to them, too. So I gave him Doug's number. I gave him Dean's number. I gave him Rise's number. I gave him everybody's number. He has a crew with them, and their stuff starting to change from early San Francisco style to like New York bar letters. I kid you not, dude, straight up. Orko is the sort of like the godfather of funk styles in the San Francisco area because before that, and a lot of people will tell you, but a lot of followers ain't gonna tell you shit. But I'm telling you, I was there. I seen it. I got pictures, and I saw, and I was there, and I tell you this much, Orko, he's the one that created Masterpiece Creators after joining TMF, or I don't know if they joined forces, but they did merge, and they were trying to go against us. Because Orko was saying to TMF, yo, man, you guys got to go big, man. You guys got to compete with Cray-One and his old Robotech characters and the Ferrari pieces. You got to, you know, because they were like, you know, he was trying to pump them up to do something bigger, which we didn't see TMF do big stuff. They did some couple of productions. I mean, Doug did their own production, like Section 8, which was dope. It was like, you know, pretty dope, you know. I mean, those kids are pretty dope in their own right. Not to be disrespecting them at all. It's not what I'm trying to say. They got their own flavor, and they were dope in their own right. It's just that flavor. We created the original style, and what our original style was coming from left field. Try to do something completely different. Now, it's not like LA Gothic style that MSK has, but it was different. It's different, and because our influence was Europe. Our influence was, a lot of people, I mean, I don't really tell that to a lot of people, only when it's in-depth like this, because Jim Pergoff invited me, I think it was Raven, it was Picasso, and a couple other dudes. He invited to his house And we looked at his pictures and we're like, holy shit. Europe was like 10 years up, like ahead of us. So we were thinking, okay, or at least 5 or 3 years ahead of us. We were looking at their shit because they were trying to see what New York was doing, and then they're trying to flip that. Because maybe they had some b-boy background or whatever, because they're not supposed to bite. You got some people that's trying to do New York style, which is cool. But the people that was trying to do something different, we looked at that as like, we need to up that. So by the time we get good, that we're already cutting them off at the pass.
Oh, nice.
With people from the Chrome Angels, like Mode 2. We got in contact.
Yeah, Mode 2.
Raven and Mode was like pen pals for a long time. So we were trying to get a hold of what's going on in Europe. So that was our focus, not New York, not our people that we were battling against in San Francisco or Oakland or we weren't looking up to the people in the Bay Area. We were looking up to the people in Europe and New York and everywhere else. You know what I mean? So that's why it's different. That's why people are like, oh man, you're new wave. Like,
oh, I see what you mean.
Yeah, we're like, new wave. What the hell is new wave? And
new wave to me was like a genre of music. New wave.
Yeah, exactly. Just like funk. Funk is a genre of music. It's not letters, but it specifically letters. And you know what? They can have their thing. So originally, funk means music, but
funk is music.
They correlate that to New York style done in the Bay Area, funk style.
Oh,
else, But I'm telling you right now, man. Yeah, we looked up to a lot of people from outside the Bay, and that's why our shit looked different. We put a lot of artistic shit in there, like graphic design shit in there, some fine art type of shit in there, and that's why we come from left field. Our letters look different. Sure, our letters is not orthodox. It's not coming from a New York foundation, but as we got older and as we got better, we noticed that, you know what? New York Foundation, they had something going on here because we can create letters till our face turn blue, and if it doesn't have any foundation, then maybe you're just creating art for art's sake, but it has nothing to do with graffiti letters. You know what I mean? You got to see, So what my theory is that you can have the dopest wall stuff, but if you can't see a letter in there, it's almost like you went beyond. There's nothing wrong with going beyond a couple of times, but you're trying to find that nirvana state where it's like you're trying to do as artistic as possible, but still see the letters. That's when it's dope. That's when it's like, ooh, that's when it's like right on that line. Because you can easily over to the other side and it just looks like some artistic piece, which is dope too. But if you want to get into that still trying to be a student of the game and trying to understand that you are a practitioner of the art of letters, you got to keep it in that letter base and not try to flip over into that crazy art style where you don't even see letters anymore. You got to still see that letters,
Oh, got you.
We're getting better as we're getting older. We understood that. So my stuff looks a little bit different than what you saw in the 80s. Saw more letters. Sometimes you didn't see letters. It was about obliterating the letters. It was understanding the culture. It was understanding the letters. What can we do as TWS to put a stamp on this thing, to put a name to our shit, instead of following unless or trying to do something that other people have done. I remember we got a call from one of my boys, Ink, had a phone call from Case 2. Oh man, you guys are doing picnic pieces out there. We're doing everything legal, because every time they took pictures of us, we're all bombing or we're getting up in the daytime. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing picnic pieces out there, man. You guys are taking our styles, man. That's what he said. You guys are taking our shit. Looked at that. I heard that. And I'm like, well, that's why we're not fucking trying to follow New York. I mean, obviously you're going to have some things in there that's going to be based off of New York shit, but come on, try to be original. That's what TWS is about. That's why our shit kind of lasts. If you go back right now and if TMF had all their photos and if TWS had all their photos, you could see what we were doing. You can't lie about that. You could put a spin into our history and try to say we're whack and blah, blah, blah. Dude, look at our photos, dude. Photos where it says 1,000 words. There's a lot of detractors out there trying to discredit us and shit because there's a lot of love for TMF, there's a lot of love for TDK, but when it comes to TWS, I mean, a lot of the people that are in the know that know about art, they love our shit.
Yeah. So I want to ask you too, Cray. every time, you know, when I would go up to the Bay, everybody, they would really give highly respect to Dream. And I want to know, like, in your opinion, like, what made Dream so special?
I think he didn't have enemies. He was cool with a lot of people. You know, and I want to tell you a story about how he almost became TWS. I went out to the East Bay looking for Raven. I got Raven in, but I also wanted to get Dream in. And I told Dream, I said, man, I want you to be in TWS. He's like, all right, cool. What do I got to do? You got to do a burner, you got to do a character, and you got to do a background. And you got to do this all by yourself. And we'll take a look at it, and we'll see if you're dope. I mean, we already knew he was dope, but everybody was required to do that. Oh, 2 weeks later, he calls me and says, hey, Cray, I can't join your crew. And I'm like, why not? It's like, well, I'm friends with TMF. I'm like, oh, man, I can't believe it. Are you serious? Yeah, I got something for you. You know, I didn't waste any time, but I got something for you. Like, maybe that might have inspired him to do that, but he did the best of both worlds. And if you look at the top left piece, top left corner, it says "Together with Style." So I figured, you know, because we were really good, close friends, we were pretty cool, and I just thought that he just laid a bomb into saying, you know what, I can do both a funk style and I can do both new wave style, and I'm not tripping. They're both. I can do both, and we were trying to do our own new wave shit, but not do funk. And they were doing, TMF was doing funk, but not doing anything that's regarding artistic, or you know what I mean, or new wave. So there was a separation of church and state inside fucking in the city. Like, if you got a funk, you might get dissed. If you got a new wave, you might get dissed. So it's a small city, and we were dissing each other. They were like crossing each other out. It got bad. So not only did we get up with a burner like against, or you know, like a production against TMF, TMF would do something on the other side of the city, and we would go check it out. And we were like, okay, that's pretty dope. So we did our, and so it was kind of like, it wasn't. I think if we would have finalized the TMF TWS battle, it would have been done on one wall. You know what I mean? It happened. I think there was a moment where I think later on, around 2004, we were trying to do a Dream Memorial at the 23rd Yard. I brought all the guns, man. I brought all the, you know, I brought Picasso and Raven, and we did a triptych piece, you know, 3 burners with like a character in the middle, and we had TMF right next to us. I didn't really care if TMF was next to us or not, but the organizers had TMF right next to us, like they're trying to start something. But by that time, TMF was already like into the second generation. All the older generation TMF, they already moved out, they had kids, so they weren't really much. They were paying, not as much. So when they organized, it was the second generation TMF, and I think, and so I think they were kind of complaining. They were pissed off that they were next to us. And I'm like, look, we're not battling you guys. We're trying to do the best we can for Dream. Let's do the dopest we can do for Dream. And so I think you know, they got pissed off. They did something decent, and they didn't really go off. You know what I mean? I felt like they didn't go off as they should for Dream. But, you know, that's just my opinion. You know what I mean?
That's so crazy, though, Cray. Like, what you're telling me, the graffiti world sounds so much like the breaking world.
It is almost. I mean, there's like ego.
Yeah, with the rivalry. Like, you can try to do something together, but even if these guys are standing next to you, you're just like, I'm not feeling this dude.
Think about it. When I went to the B-Boy contest, I think it was the freestyle sessions down in LA, and you know, the Korean crew had no flavor, but they had all power moves. And then there was I think there was a Zulu, Zulu Kings, and they all came out. They had some power moves, but they're all flavor. Yeah. And all the judges, you can tell these judges, they gave the thumbs up to more of original flavor. Okay. Not trying to be all like the oohs and ahs got the, you know, the power moves got the oohs and ahs. You know what I mean? So everyone thought that the Koreans were going to win because they had all the crazy power moves. They were doing the oohs and ahs, like some kind of like gymnasts. You know what I mean? They weren't really B-boys. They were gymnasts. This is back then. Now they're getting their flavor moves now. But back then it wasn't. Yeah. They were just power moves. So when the Zulu Kings won, people were like, what? They thought it was like, what the hell just happened? We just saw the dopest power moves, and they lost. Yeah. So, it's interesting how the judges are trying to let people know that b-boying is all about power moves. It's about flavor. It's about, you know, getting down on the music and understanding your music and your breaks and being flavor and being original, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So having some power moves is dope. Combination is dope, but it shouldn't be all your arsenal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm speaking fire. You know what I mean?
I love it though, bro. I'm actually another question. I'm gonna jump into one. So King, what was it? King 157, King 157.
Yeah. What about?
Who is that guy? Because when I would go to San Francisco, when I would go to the Bay, like Oakland, I would see his stuff on trucks, like big old like grocery trucks.
Everywhere, dude. It's trucks, trains, walls. That guy. I mean, I think he has like 2 or 3 kids, or he has a big family.
Okay.
And he still has a job, and he still gets up. That is hella fucking respect, dude. No, I mean, if you know somebody with a couple of kids and has a job, dude, their graffiti career is almost over. You know, they're too busy with, like, you know, paying rent, car payments, you know what I mean? Kids, you got to take care. And he was also, I think he was a softball coach or something, but the guy has a lot of, and he has a lot of energy, man. So he's taking his art very seriously now, you know what I mean? It's always been serious. I just remember going down to LA and we picked up a bunch of writers from San Jose, and he was one of the kids. He wore all black, like kind of like still a gangster. And he was just kind of getting into it, and I kind of saw him. I remember him. We rode in the back of the from San Jose to LA for like I think it was 88 or 89 for like some kind of graffiti convention. And
Yeah,
I remember him very well.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Little did he know that he was going to become a beast. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So when did you actually come across Reefer One?
You know what? When I first visited Berkeley, I was visiting Oakland a lot, and someone told me about Berkeley, and I hooked up with Chaos. He was the king of Berkeley, basically. KTD, Kick Dog, or there's other things, other acronyms.
Okay.
But I met him, and then his mother and father was like large, huge Black Panther party members, you know. So he had an image to uphold. He had, you know, his ideas were pretty strong, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And it was cool. He was a very artistic kid, you know what I mean? Like, but the thing is, when he moved to Sacramento, he got hard.
Oh yeah.
Hard, like doing the trains, and I think maybe something got him harder, like on edge or something. Maybe he just became hard, like I didn't recognize him anymore. Like you know, he was a kid when he went to Sacramento. He you know, I don't know, he turned somebody else, but he's still cool. I still meet him once in a while in Oakland. He's cool. You know, I don't have anything against him, man.
Does he still get up?
Yeah, he still gets up. I saw a wall. It says Black Panther production coming soon. So he's still up, man. He's still trying to get walls and stuff. So he's still active. You know, the thing about me is that I'm still active, but people don't see me because I'm always in Oakland. I'm getting up in San Jose. I'm going down to LA. I'm going to Seattle, sometimes over across the United States, and just kind of hitting places here and there. But sometimes I don't hit the city, and I'm like, oh, you know what? I need to hit the city more. So for the past couple of years, I've been hitting the city more, but only because like people think that I'm fucking dead over there. I'm like, no, I'm still getting up, dude. I'm in Oakland right now, but I'm still getting up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people throwing in different questions right now, but I want to ask you too, what's the difference between like cans and tips, like in the early 80s and 90s?
I think there's some purists out there that think that, you know, when you get up with stock or when you get up with the Phantom tips. By the way, I'm one of the first cats to bring the Phantom tips up here from LA.
What is Phantom tips?
So let me tell you a little story about the Phantom tips. Me and Styles, that we were getting up as partners, and 4 dudes from San Diego, including Quasar, Ben, and 2 other cats. I forgot. I think it's Sake and some other guy. They came up and they contacted Jim Pergoff. It's like, yo, we're from San Diego. You know, it's fine out here. You know, it was just in the beginning of this whole graffiti thing in the West Coast. But their scene was already dying. Or at least that's what they're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So with me and Styles, we kind of showed them around the city, and all of a sudden they're like, yo, man, why don't you come back with us? And so I was like, I didn't have a job, but Styles had a job. I'm like, yo, man, you better quit your job at Acca Joe in Pier 39. And he did. we got in this tall-ass car of 6 people went down to San Diego, and we got up everywhere. We got up on the trains, we got up on the buses, we got up everywhere. And so right before we left, we're like, oh, by the way, the car flipped over, but we weren't there. Some other dude's car flipped over on the freeway. My friend was drowned on the beach at Mission Beach. I saved his ass. Anyway, so a lot of shit going on. But right before we left, I never visited LA. I was wondering if we can go visit LA before we go to San Francisco. We're gonna fly up there to San Francisco, but can we just check out LA? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we went there with a bunch of San Diego cats and me and Styles, and we started visiting the yard, taking pictures. I mean, we weren't getting up, but we were just taking pictures because they showed us the yards. And Charlie, our genius, I think TDK or ETK was there. Mm-hmm. And I noticed the pieces looked different. Not styles obviously looked different, looked chunkier too, but they had different stuff going on. But the shit was clean. No, I've never seen anything clean like this. And I looked up real close, and it looked like they put two cardboards together, and it looked like they sprayed it. And I'm like, dude, you guys are cheating. And then Charlie was like, nah, that's porn. He's like, nah, dude, here's the tip. They're testers. We call them phantoms up here. We call them phantoms over here.
Oh, man.
Fuck, because we were using stock tips and getting clean. We were using stock tips and getting clean. This blows the whole fucking thing out of the water, because when you use stock tip and being clean, you can still see a little bit of shit. But when you look at it from 10 feet away, it looks clean as shit. So now we're looking at phantom tips where you look up really close, like 1 feet, and it's tight as shit. Like, oh, dude. So that's, our heads fucking exploded. So when we went to San Francisco, we just like, should we put in TWS, or we should just throw it out there, let everybody have it, and make the Bay Area better? And that's what we did. We decided that we're just going to tell everyone. And there are some people that kind of claim that they brought the phantom tips up from LA, or they didn't share it. No, that's the story. That's the real story, man. And I got stories about the skinny cap, but we'll talk about that later. But anyways, just letting you know about the original question was. I got sidetracked.
The original question was, we were talking about Reefa.
Oh, okay, right. So I mean, he has his own political agenda, and that's cool. You know what I mean? Zulu. I'm still in Zulu. He's in Zulu, but I think there's a lot of people in Zulu that feel like it's not so universal as, Black folks still have issues and problems. We need to take care of Black folks first. And I'm like, well, we need to take care of people of all color, universal. So there's people with ideologies within Zulu. There's even 5%ers in Zulu in New York. So it's pretty complex. It's not easy, But I love Zulu to death, man. It's like I have no ill wills toward them. And even though Bambata is, he came down with an accusation like that. And I think now people are trying to go into Zulu Union.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's another explanation for another day. But I still love death, man.
I'm North Star to the end, bro.
What I mean?
Yeah, I'm North Star to the end.
Yeah, exactly. Which is dope,
Yeah.
But
Yeah. That's true. Somebody had brought up. They said Zodak was a dope artist. So how you feel about Zodak One style?
Zodak One style?
Yeah.
Zodak One.
It's like his style, Zodak One.
Oh, it's dope. I thought it was Zodiac or Zodak, right?
Zodak.
Yeah, he's dope. I thought Quasar was dope. There's a lot of dope cats from I like Brisk.
Brisk.
Yeah, there's a lot of dope cats.
I think this is from San Diego, right?
Boston, San Diego.
Yeah.
They're the clothing company. Yeah, they're dope. They're dope too, man. There's a lot of dope cats in San Diego.
Is Twist from San Diego? Or is he from where's he from? Twist.
I don't know, but all I know is he's from San Francisco. I remember getting up with Arrows. They were exchanging a lot of information at USF and beyond. They were bombing partners. Arrows from Reno or from I believe from Santa Cruz. Getting up a lot. I remember they were doing a lot. you know, and then the Twist KMF. A better graffiti style, but he was always dope. I got to tell you about a story about Twist that had to do with me going to his school 3 years prior. So all of a sudden I'm starting doing more jobs. You know? Someone told me from Home Turf, one of the producers from Home Turf, it's like, hey man, you're getting a lot of jobs. Why don't you get a portfolio together? And I'm like, what the fuck is a portfolio? That's naive. So I was getting all the pictures together, and then all of a sudden I had enough photos, you know, like, especially, but it was all graffiti photos. It was all graffiti letters, very little characters, you know what I mean? Because I was all letters. And I took it to, just blindly, I just went to an art school. It's the Art Institute. It was about 3 or 2 years before Twist got in. Up to this white dude, and I opened up my portfolio, and I said, yo, this is what I do. And he looked at it and he's like, we don't accept your kind here.
Your kind.
We don't accept kind of art here. I don't even think he said art. We don't accept whatever you do, you know, street art here. And I'm like, the only kind of art that you saw around North Beach, around that area, was like some artist doing dog characters with paintbrush. That was the extent, you know, maybe a couple of riff throw-ups. That was it, dude. And I was like, okay, opened up, I closed my portfolio and got out the door. And I was kind of like a little bit upset. And I was like, fuck this, man. I'm gonna destroy this city by doing some beautiful work, you know? And I'm not gonna wait until someone recognizes me as an artist to accept it in an arts. You know? That's not my whole persona. My whole persona was, hey, if I can get a degree while doing this, that's great. But it just didn't happen for me at that time. It did later in '91 when I went to CCAC for 1 year. But at that time, I was trying to go for the Art Institute, and they shut me down. 3 years later, Twist gets in, and not only he gets in, he's like the god. He's like, oh my God, he's the savior of art. He's like the most incredible, amazing street artist. And I'm like, oh shit, really? Okay. You know what? And I was kind of upset at first, but you know, I have to understand that sometimes when you're original, when you're first at something, when you're trying to get through the door, when you're the first person, you get shut down, dude. You get crushed. You get squashed, and it's up to you whether you're gonna go on and just do bigger and better things later, and just say, you know what I mean? I got to do better. I got to continue. That's one of the things I remember, is that they accept with open arms. He probably got a full scholarship. They looked at him as like a god, dude. Straight up. God, he's like the most. And I was just like, he's just doing throw-ups with characters. I don't even think I've seen him do burners. He hasn't done a burner, like a straight-up wild-style burner, like it'll burn somebody. I didn't see like an impressive character. I seen a throw-up character that was bomb a lot. You know, he did a lot of the fades and stuff, which was kind of unique still for that. But as far as like doing production, that was the end game for me. End game, meaning that was the pinnacle you shoot for. Burner, background. You can do it all yourself. That was the pinnacle end game. But now it's like the idea for graffiti is like, you know, getting up at the corner store. That's dope enough. Okay. I'm not, that's cool. You know what I mean? I can accept that if that's your extent of your artistic ability. That's cool, man. We need soldiers. You know what I mean? But don't come at me thinking that you can fucking burn me. I'll squash, you know, with my eyes closed. like I would tell somebody, look, man, if you want to battle me, dude, make sure you have enough years like me, because I'm not gonna make some boy that just came on this and start talking a lot of shit. I'm talking about putting enough years that I put, like 40 years deep, 35, 40 years old. And I'm talking about, I've done more than 1,000 big ass production, big pieces, dude. I'm not talking about rinky dink panel down pieces. I'm about as high as you can reach and as far as you can reach, as far as you can go. That's my burner. And it takes like fucking, I don't know, 5 hours sometimes. It doesn't take 30 minutes. It's 5 hours. So it's like, you know, we're in a schoolyard and we can get busted. We're doing it, you know, but our pieces look tight. You know what I mean? At the end. But all I'm saying is that respect to the people that are getting up. They're still doing it. You know, I can't really say that about myself. I'm not a bomber. I did get up, but I'm willing to admit I'm not a bomber, dude. I'm a piecer. I love wild style. I love style. I love where the letters connect. I love to get into that. Bombing on the street and putting my name on every car, not really. You know what I mean? I mean, if you see me want to try to catch a wreck one of these days, you'll see me, but I can't do that, man. I'm just, I'm too legit. Right?
So you never messed around with the scribes and the unis and all that?
Oh, unis, yeah, but not the scribes. I mean, like maybe even like yeah, unis, definitely unis. I still have some of the, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's like that was a forte. Everyone has a forte. I'm sick and tired of when people are just always about bombing and they talk shit about everybody else. Like, oh man, he ain't getting up. He ain't shit. He hasn't gotten up in a couple of years. You know, he ain't shit. It's like, dude, when you quit next year, I'll have a portfolio that dates back 40 years, and I'm still getting up. So who are you, like, trying to talk shit about me, and then all of a sudden you quit because you got a kid, you know what I mean, or you got a job now, and you're still talking shit behind a computer desk.
That sounds like the b-boy world, bro.
Yeah, yeah. I think with the DJ world too.
Yeah,
it's crazy, man. I'm sure maybe with rapping, it's funny because you got an industry make a lot of money with that shit, but with b-boying, DJing, and graph. That's my whole life. I mean, I don't really know many people making a lot of money with rap music. So I know a lot of local rappers, you know, a lot of MCs that's local, that's, you know, still grinding. But, you know, that's the true hip hop to me. You know, you're not making big money with rapping and then you're off to New York. You're not here in the Bay Area anymore. You know, I'm still talking to people that put it down in the early 80s. I'm still talking to them, you know?
Yeah.
Man, that's what keeps us young, dude.
Right.
You know, look at your ass. You're old as me. You're young as shit. You're young, dude. What the hell happened to you, man? What you eating?
I'm drinking water, bro. I'm drinking water.
But that's what keeps us young, man. We got to follow our dreams, man. Our dreams was to be an artist and dancers. You know, you know, that's what keeps us. Once we lose that, then that's when you start showing your age and you start getting old and you might as well just be in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
You know,
I believe that too, Cray, and like that story kind of sounds familiar with me too as well. Like when I think of the b-boy world and all these people are like doing all this amazing power shit and they're flying all over the world, but I'm like, how long have you really been doing that? Like, look at my record and look at your record, and see what I'm doing today. Like you know that I don't even stop. You pay attention to me, Cray. Like there hasn't been a year where people can say, I don't know, Mikey-Ice fell off. What has he been doing lately? It's like, nah, bro. Every time I wake up, I'm always creating.
Yeah, right on. It's dope.
Yeah, I'm always creating, so I can relate to that. Like, but I don't know. It's kind of like it's the b-boy world. Even when you're doing good, people talk bad about you.
Of course, I learned that pretty early, man. I learned that pretty early. And you gotta have a big shell, man, because your work is in for the public. And the public are critics, especially our own right community. They'll just say, you know, half the people will say, man, half the people, that's dope. So who you listen to? I mean, you do the criticism that's weak, or that's, you know, that can actually not just say that's weak, but tell you why it's weak. If you can't decipher why it's weak, it just goes in my together. Even when someone says, yo, your shit is dope, you're dope. Whoop, bam, it goes out. In the beginning, the early years, I kept that in to build my ego, to build my self-esteem.
Okay.
But people are like, man, you got a big head, dude. You ain't shit, man. You got shit, man. And I'm like, okay, all right. You know, so it checks you. You know, it's within our culture. You get checked, dude. There's a lot of dope writers out there that are better than most people. Man, what's that?
It's Los Angeles. Los Scandalous. Hey,
in LA right now?
Yeah, bro. Long story short, though, Cray.
Lived in Modesto or something like that. Remember?
I used to live in a city called Madera, but we moved away from South Central because of the gang situation. You know, my father was like, you know what? Mike is starting to become like a certain age. So before I was just about to become teenager, my dad said he wanted to move from LA. Yeah. And I moved to LA, and that's why I was known for being up north. I lived in a little city called Madera.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
that's mid, right? Between San Francisco and LA. Right?
Yeah, Madera's right in the middle. It's between Bakersfield and Modesto.
Yeah, okay.
It's central.
When we're going on like we picked for a Zulu event, or I think it was a Style Elements event.
Yeah. So I decided I wanted to come back though, bro, because I've always felt like
you're ready now. You're a grown man. You know what I mean? You're not gonna.
I wanted to come back, and I wanted to see my family. Everybody's still here. None of my family hasn't even left though. They're like, What's Madera? They're like, is that next to San Francisco? I'm like, no, it's not next to San Francisco.
Yeah, they don't even know. Yeah,
they don't even know. My family still lives in South Central, Inglewood, Watts, Compton, and
you never left. You would have been a different person.
Oh yeah, honestly, bro. Because right when I was getting ready to leave, I was starting to get interested into gangbanging though, because that's all I seen.
Yeah. You're pure too.
Yeah.
I mean, even though I was from the projects, I wasn't trying to be all involved in the project life. But, it's because I love breaking. It's like I was baseball, football, and basketball every year.
Mm.
And I saw breakdancing. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get into that.
Yeah.
So that's my whole life there.
You know what it was?
Hang out with people that b-boy or breakdance, and that was it. If you're not breaking, if you're not graffiti, I don't want to hang out with you. That was my mentality. 90s, early 90s, until I went to Alaska. There's a whole world out here. So that's start growing too as a person, saying, well, there's more than just b-boy graffiti. You know, there's a whole life out there.
Yeah, you know what it was like. I was starting to get influenced by the gangbanging, and I remember clear that I was a little kid, and this TV show came on that night, and it says, "That's incredible." And it said after commercial, it said we're going to show this dance. Yeah, it said Ripley's. It says Ripley's, Believe It or Not.
Yeah.
So I went to the restaurant. I came back out. I didn't know what I was going to see, and I'm watching the TV, hella young, and I'm hearing like what you hear outside, cars screaming, sirens, and it said, out of the brownstone jungles comes a group called the Dynamic Rockers. And I'm looking, and it says, instead of fighting, and then you said Powerful Plex, his name said Kid-Ice.
Yeah.
It said Kid Frost. And he says, we ain't angels. He's like, we ain't angels. And it said, we're going to go do a battle with a group called the Floor Masters. And then from there.
That's originally New York City Breakers.
Yeah, the Floor Masters transitioned to be the New York City Breakers. And then after I seen that, bro, and I went outside and I heard scratching, and then the music just started catching on though, bro. And I noticed those cholo words start changing. People start putting fresh with the spray can.
Yeah.
When
was the first time you heard the word sick?
Sick?
Oh man, that's sick.
First time I heard the word sick, probably I would have to be sick. It had to be like junior high school.
Okay, all right. Because I'm raised San Francisco, never heard the word. I go up to Sacramento on this one kid's, and your shit is sick. Like what? What? My shit is. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's good. It means good. Oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. And then after that time, then Herbie Hancock came out with Rocket with the robots on stage, and I noticed something was about to start changing, like a shift though, and that this video is about to end. Cray-One, let me stop it.
All right.
And I'm gonna reload it, and then just kind of give me about like 3 minutes, and I'll be right back on.
No problem.